Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you are new to my channel. So today we're going to take a look at another horror movie from my 31 Days of Horror here for the month of October, leading up to Halloween for day seven. It's day seven here that we're going to take a look at a new movie that I watched for the first time and I'm going to review for the first time on my channel, and that is The House is October Built, the first one. I have the two pack here. I'll be watching and reviewing the second one later in this series, sometime later this month. But first things first, we're going to take a look at The House is October Built, the first one here from 2014. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it here. The House is October Built is a 2014 American found footage horror film and the directorial debut of Bobby Rowe. It was produced by Zach Andrews and Steven Schneider. Rowe and Andrews both star in the film alongside Brandy Schaefer, Mikey Rowe, and Jeff Larson. Or Mickey Rowe. Is it Mikey or Mickey Rowe? I don't know. The film's plot follows five friends who set out on a road trip in search of haunted house attractions and find themselves targeted by a mysterious and disturbed group. So the film begins in uh, Metis Rest, which basically means in the middle of the movie or towards the end of the movie, and then it works its way backwards to a dazed and bloody Brandy being in a truck and driven off. Being put in a truck and driven off. Days earlier, a group of friends from Ohio, Brandy, her boyfriend Zach, cameraman Jeff, Bobby, and Mikey, decide to take a trip to visit some of America's scariest haunted house attractions in the days leading up to Halloween. They plan to record their experiences and interview the actors who work there. This leads to disturbing revelations about the establishment's operations, such as failure to perform background checks, utilizing criminals and disturbed individuals as actors, using real corpses as props, and performing dangerous stunts for the sake of scares. The group begins with well known haunted houses first, though their main goal is to locate an extreme haunt called Blue Skeleton, a mysterious group that moves to a different secret location every year and is said to employ real torture to elicit scares. Zach grows agitated with what he views as pedestrian scares. The group also antagonizes haunted house staff by filming and being disruptive, but the staff's animosity grows sinister when the friends are followed by a clown and a young actress from an earlier house, despite the groups having traveled over 100 miles. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise, the beginning of the movie. As far as the cast goes, we have Brandy Schaefer as Brandy, Zach Andrews as Zach, Bobby Rowe as Bobby. Are you seeing a pattern here? Mikey Rowe as Mikey, and Jeff Larson as Jeff. Not a lot of creativity there. Um, but yeah, anyway, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for The House is October Built from 2014. Um, Excuse me. I wasn't crazy about this movie. I'm going to be honest with you up front. And of course, if you know me and you follow my channel, you know that me and found footage have a very love hate relationship. And this is more on the I wouldn't say hate, but dislike for found footage end of things with this movie. Where something like Hell House LLC was on the other end of the spectrum, one of my favorite found footage movies. Um, but let's just get into it, starting with the things that I did like about the movie or that piqued my interest. And you got to start with the premise of this movie. I like the idea as someone who's a big fan of haunted attractions, haunted theme parks, haunted houses, haunted anything, and sort of a horror movie that relate to them in terms of things going beyond just the haunted attraction and having real life sort of repercussions from it. I'm a big fan of that. That's why I love Hell House LLC. I really like the premise of this movie and what it's going for. When you have this group of haunted house nerds, for lack of a better word, driving around the country looking for the best haunted scares basically that they can find. I think that makes for a really fun Halloween horror kind of movie to watch in October. Just on the surface of it. So that's the first thing that I appreciate. I thought the actors that portrayed these characters, who are not actual actors, I think they're basically people that helped produce this movie. Um, but because they're not actors, they weren't trying to act. And they came. I thought they came across pretty well as far as being more natural and authentic as these characters. Frankly, I thought they did a good job, especially as it relates to a found footage movie, where sometimes you don't get the acting isn't great because they're trying to overact to show the authenticity of the film being a found footage, and it ends up going the opposite way where it doesn't work at all. And it kind of takes you out of the movie. That wasn't the case here, so I give them credit for that. There were some effectively creepy haunt figures or actors, whatever you want to say, at the haunted attractions throughout the movie. As far as like the masks they were wearing, the overall look of them, doing creepy things and effective things like stalking and just kind of creeping out the patrons of these different haunted houses. I thought those were effective. Um, and then my final pro is the final 5 minutes or so of the movie are definitely the most effective in terms of being the most unnerving and downright creepy with what happens to these characters. And that's about as much as I want to say as it relates to that. Because I don't want to give too much away, obviously, but the third act of this movie is definitely the best part of the movie. I would say the final 5 to 10 minutes is the best part of that third act. So yeah, those are the things that I can appreciate that I like about the House is October, built from 2014. Now we got to get into the things that I didn't like about the movie, and you got to start with the found footage aspect of the movie. The shaky cam and found footage aspect did not work for me at all in this movie. I found it hard to be engaged, to stay focused, and therefore, just to have it work for me as a movie, it just doesn't because I just can't get around the shaky cam. And it's really bad at certain points, especially at the beginning of this movie to the middle of this movie, when there's not a lot going on in terms of horror anyway. It's a lot of these characters just driving around and having conversations and maybe interviewing different actors at these other haunted houses. But yeah, it's just this is an example of a found footage movie that doesn't work for me, and therefore it ends up taking away from the overall idea and how they could have executed it better for me. I think the constant moving around from location to a location, the traveling in the RV, that those things didn't help this movie. You know, the one thing about Hell House LLC, it's all basically set in this hell house, this haunted house that they're trying to renovate and make use for the public here by Halloween. But here it's a lot of, like I said, it's traveling, it's driving, it's moving, it's being chased after. It's just too much. Too much for me. And I realize that some people really love found footage, and that's great. Like I said, I have a love hate relationship with it, very like this. So, yeah, it didn't work for me. The pacing of this movie also doesn't work for me. It's not great. I found myself almost dozing off a couple times in the first 40 minutes. Well, I thought the actors did a good job portraying these characters. I wasn't all that invested in these characters. The dialogue is bad at times. There's just a lot of stuff not happening for the first half hour to 45 minutes of this movie, frankly. And I was watching it during the middle of the day, so it shouldn't have been that hard to doze off, but I almost did. Um, yeah, it's all about the third act in this movie. The first two acts really do nothing for me. The pacing is just really off in this movie. Um, it's uneven overall. I just don't feel like the premise was executed that well as it could have been, frankly, in this movie. Therefore, it wasn't as effective for me as a result. If it worked for other people, that's great. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this movie, and unfortunately I'm on the below 50% side. It's kind of a 5.5 out of 10, 60 out of 100 kind of movie, frankly, from what I could tell. And yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. I think the found footage aspect and the fact that they just never really They just never really stick the landing, in my opinion. And you have to get through the first 40 minutes, which aren't all that enjoyable, in my opinion, other than a scene here or a scene there when they're checking out these different haunted houses and interviewing some of these haunted house workers. These characters aren't the smartest bunch in the smartest bunch out there either. Where of course you have the one sort of leader, who's Zach in this case, not using common sense and basically forcing the rest of the group into danger because he wants the ultimate haunt, the ultimate scare, not just these, you know, what? How did he say it earlier in the movie? These pedestrian scares. Um, it was the same with Hell House LLC. That's kind of a trope for these kind of haunted house attraction sort of movies where even though there's shit happening where they're not actually at a haunt and things that are happening that should make you get in your car and drive about 90 the other direction, instead they think it's part of it. They think it's fun at first. They think, oh, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing it. No, you don't. I'm going to slap you across the face. That's one trope I really don't like in these kind of movies. Even in Hell House LLC, it's like I would have told that guy in that movie just like I would tell Zach to go f himself. Frankly, I'm not. If it doesn't feel right in the gut, then it isn't right, and getting the hell out of there and going the other direction. So, yeah, that's just not a smart group of characters. But I guess that's par for the course to make a movie. And then the other thing was I was never really that scared. I mean, like I said, the last 5 minutes was the only time that it actually approached sort of and it wasn't really scared. It was more like creeped out or uneasiness about what was happening, um, having to do with these characters and their ultimate, uh, how do I want to say it? Ultimate, I don't know, just what happens to these characters at the end. Was never really scared though at any point in this movie. In fact, I was kind of bored, if I'm being honest with you, during the first 30 to 35 minutes, especially of this movie. So I don't know. It is what it is, guys. This is not a great movie, in my opinion. It's not going to make my every October Halloween horror kind of movie that I always want to watch around October, though I will give it a rewatch at some point. But I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 overall as far as the movie goes in a rating. 6.5 out of 10 for the original. The house is October, built from 2014. As I said, I'll be watching and reviewing the second one later this month as part of this 31 Days of Horror. But go ahead and comment down below if you're one of the people that like this movie or one of the people like me that don't like it as much as some other people. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this 31 Days of Horror series, or you don't miss any of my other great horror content coming out the rest of the year and into next year. So with that being said, I hope everybody's having a good spooky October so far. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying. And as always, stay scared. Bye.